Hi there, my name is Jordan Tash and a course developer over at Code4Kids, and today I'm going to be taking you through the teacher video for lesson 4 of JavaScript 2, Test the Builder. Now in the previous lessons we learned a lot about JavaScript objects and how we can use objects to place different buildings and trees and electricity buildings and population buildings down in our town where the mayor asked Tess for a bunch of objectives. Okay. In today's lesson, we're going to be focusing more on functions, and functions is a major and integral part of any programming language, but in JavaScript in particular. And you'll remember how we played around with functions in the first course especially. The best example I can give you that you may remember is when we use turn right. We made a function turn right, in which Tess just simply turns left 3 times. Okay. So as a reminder, you can discuss your class here on the first tab. What are JavaScript functions? You can ask them all this. Functions are just instructions. And when we mean instructions, a computer just needs to follow the instructions of a function, just like we follow instructions to bake a cake or cook a meal. So section 2, building a forest. The mayor asked Tess to build a forest in their town. They've asked you to plant at least 8 trees, okay? Let's do this without functions first. So here's the solution, pretty straightforward. We've learned this before. We're placing for large trees. So place object for large, then we're going to move, place object, and we're going to turn. And yeah, if I click play, you'll see that that Tess has placed all the trees, sorry. And once you've placed all the trees, you'll get a nice tick informing you that you have done the correct thing. But as you can see, no functions just yet. Just a bunch of place objects, moves, and turn rights. Should be pretty straightforward. Okay, in section 3, now we're teaching a bit more theory about functions. Let's remind ourselves about turn right. And you remember to create a function in JavaScript, we say the keyword function. Then we say the name of the function, in this case, turn right, followed by some soft brackets, followed by the curly brackets there and there. And then we put our instructions inside there. And in this case, turn left 3 times, which is the same as turning right. So how do we declare a function in JavaScript? That's very simple. It's the first one. The key is that the keyword is always function. The name can be anything you want, but those soft brackets and curly brackets are very important. Okay, there we go. So why are functions useful to us as programmers? Well, just like in any programming language, often we write a tedious amount of code, whether it's 100 lines or 500 lines of code, and functions allow us to categorize or make that code more efficient if we need to use that code again. And what you can do is you can recognize patterns when you're programming, such as turning left 3 times, and we can turn 3 lines of code into 1 line of code like we did before. Okay, so instead of 3 lines of code, turn left, turn left, turn left, we now have 1 line of code. So true or false, you can name your function anything you'd like. That is 100% true. Okay, and now we have the exact same example from earlier, but now we're going to use a function. Okay, and this is going to be provided for you already. So we have a function called plant trees. Okay, it's being called over there in instructions, but you'll notice that there's nothing in the function plant trees. And what you can do is they can retype it again, but they can just copy all the stuff that we wrote earlier and paste it there. Okay, and now we can simply run plant trees. And you'll see that Tess is going to do the same thing, but with functions. So just make sure that they've written their code under this new function, plant trees, and they're using it over here. All right, so let's go to the next tab. So the theoretical part of this lesson is we're going to be learning more about global warming. So what is global warming? And just talk to them, ask them questions about it. But basically, overall heating in our atmosphere and our planet, and it's causing a temperature rise and decrease depending on the time of the year and depending where you are in the world. This is caused by burning fossil fuels and releasing the fumes into our atmosphere. Okay? So you can explain to them what the greenhouse effect is, and how we use renewable energy to combat global warming. Okay, so using energy in creative ways, instead of just burning fossil fuels like coal, we can make wind turbines and things like that to combat global warming. So which of these is not a fossil fuel? Okay, answer here is water. So Tess wants to help section 3, okay, of the last quiz tab. Tess has suggested a few types of energy buildings to the mayor to ensure that the mayor's town is carbon neutral. Okay, and here we can talk about different ways of combating global warming. So we have wind turbines, solar plants, nuclear plants, and hydro plants. Okay, and you'll notice that all of these, except for the nuclear plant, which puts off a little bit of pollution, has zero pollution. And these are exactly the same as the previous lessons. You can see the objects and you can see exactly how they affect the town. So for example, the wind turbine is an energy object. It adds a population of 0. Obviously, no one's moving in when you add wind turbines to your city. It gives off 10 electricity and it costs 200, but no pollution. Okay. So how much does it cost to build one of each energy building in a town? Okay, so one of each is 200. Minus 200 plus minus 300 plus minus 1,000, which is minus 1,500. So minus 2,300. Okay. There it is. Okay. It costs 2,300 money to build it. And that's it for the quiz tabs. So let's go on to Waterworld at the top. Okay. And now we're going to build a town with more of an emphasis on hydro plants. So just as you did in the previous lessons, let's look through what objects we have. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to see that we have a house object. We have 4 different nature objects, and we have 1 energy object, which is our hydro plant. Okay, and some of it's been done already. So let's just click play to see what's been done. And you can already see that we have 2 ticks. But what we need is we need energy above 50, okay, 50 or above. At the moment, we have negative 10 because those houses are consuming electricity. So let's start off by placing a couple of, let's move once, and then let's turn right, and then let's move again, and let's add 2 objects, 2 energy objects, hydro plants. Remember, these are energy and energy. Okay, and it's on a house, it's a hydro plant. Oh, what have I done here? There we go. Okay, so remember they have to say the type followed by a dot and then the name of the object. So energy dot hydro plant. You can click play. Okay, so now we've ticked that. We've got above 60 energy, but our pollution is 20. Okay, and to lower our pollution, the pollution is caused by the houses. Okay, and to lower our pollution, we need some trees. So let's move, we also need a few more houses. So I'm going to skip ahead to what the solution looks like. All right, so now I've skipped ahead, and this is what one of the solutions would look like. As you can see, there's quite a lot of stuff going on here, and we'll see in the next few tabs how we can use functions to speed this up. But for now, this will take them about 10 to 15 minutes. And you can see if I click play, I'm going to tick all the different objectives. Okay, you need quite a few houses, you need quite a few hydro plants to reach all the goals, and you need a couple of trees just to improve the overall pollution. Okay, so you can see all ticks. Okay, just a reminder, if you're lost, you can always click this little magnifying glass, and this will show you the statistics for each individual object that you've placed. For example, each house object costs 100, but it also takes 5 electricity, and those hydro plants also affect the pollution. Okay, and you can see the houses take some electricity, the plants reduce the amount of pollution in the air, and you can just investigate like that. There's also this I button over here that just gives you some statistics about your town. So there's 10 houses, 5 hydro plants, and 2 large trees. All right, let's go to clean energy at the top. Okay, and this solution's done already for you, but now you'll notice that we have quite a few more objects. We've got a house, an apartment, we've got a school, we've got 4 nature objects, and we have 4 energy objects. We have hydro plants, wind turbines, nuclear plants, solar plants. Okay, so you need to read the objectives very carefully, and I've done this already, but you can see that there's now 2 functions over here. Okay, so the objective is for them to only have 2 lines of code under the instructions function. Okay, so build town, produce energy. They need to add all their relevant objects inside each function. So for the produce energy function, we should only place energy objects. So for example, here I've done it already, but you can see I've only placed a bunch of energy objects. And for the build town function, I've only placed population and nature objects, okay? So if I click play now, those two functions will be used. Okay. Let's wait for test to complete. You can see a number of trees, a number of energy objects. Okay, and there we go. So I've ticked all the required objectives. They're all done. Okay, I have a population of 7,000. We have energy of 320 or above. We have the CO2 level or the population below 0, which is what we want. And we still have some money left over. So your town will look rather large. This will take your students quite a while to do, but it'll keep them busy. And remember to always have only 2 functions underneath the instructions function. Okay, build town and produce energy. Okay, now on the last tab, this is a bit of an open-ended question to end off the course. And you can see a lot of things going on here. So we have a bunch of nature objects, a bunch of population objects, and a bunch of energy objects, okay? And under instructions, it says, use and complete the 3 functions below to complete the mayor's objectives. Okay, so they need to read the objectives carefully. And you'll see 3 functions. One of them is build offices, another is build park, and another is build power stations, okay? So underneath offices, they just need to add a bunch of objects that have a population type and have offices as their names. Okay, for park, we're going for trees, okay, for this. And for power stations, we have energy objects, okay? And that's about it. Once you've done, you can see that we have quite a big grid over here, so they can really, as the tab says, go wild, and they can try and complete all their objectives. And it's not a big problem if they don't complete this. This is just to keep your students busy, especially for those students who have gone quite far ahead. And that's it for lesson 4 of Test the Builder. We really hope you enjoy. And again, make sure that you encourage the use of functions above everything else. All of their place object functions and moves and turn rights and turn lefts should be under their own functions, not under instructions. Okay, thank you, and we hope you enjoyed the lesson.